Frank Brothers is a family story, and we were a family firm. My grandfather was in several businesses before, and he had a sporting goods store, and then he decided to go into the furniture business, which he called cash furniture. And then my father joined the firm in 1930, and then it became L. Frank and Son. Eddie came into the partnership in 1938 when he was 20 years old. Eddie had this wonderful idea when he read about the Swedish modern furniture in the Paris World's Fair. I think it was the Paris World's Fair. And he came back to Dad and said, let's throw out all the traditional furniture. So we promptly lost most of our suppliers because it's never been done. No furniture store did that. To begin with, we had commercial furniture that was in the modern, copies of modern things. We started going to the International Fair in Copenhagen. And then he ended up going to Copenhagen and to Italy. He was a wonderful editor. And he could look at something and he would say, why don't you do this a little differently? And they would listen. And it changed the quality and the feel of the furniture that came out. But we had California furniture too. There were California manufacturers that we used all along. The Scandinavian designs affected California designers and domestic designers. Ed Frank was friendly with John and Tenza. They were friends. And Ed Frank was on the staff of the Arts and Architecture for a while. There were two publications that were instrumental in this cross-pollination of design. One was Domus, an Italian magazine, and the other was Arts and Architecture magazine with John and Tenza. And we didn't realize it at the time, but they were cross-pollinating each other. So it turned out that European designers were being influenced by California and American designers, and American designers were being influenced by European designers. Southern California was a center for what you call mid-century modern. And California, right after the war, had a lot of soldiers, veterans, that were on the GI Bill, a sophisticated market, people who had traveled and enjoyed good things, but didn't have much money to spend. We were probably the only store in the United States where you could have a genuine Eames chair and a copy. And we showed the genuine Eames chair to a customer and we said, here's the chair, here's the copy. Please don't think you're getting one when you're spending less than the other. And quite often, but the direct comparison, we sold a lot more Eames chairs. The emotional response you have, it was beautiful. It's a piece of sculpture. It was rosewood. The edge surfaces were wonderfully finished. It was an example of Charles Eames' work. He always wanted, he said, the details, where things come together. And in the end, they had a wonderful work of art, but we didn't think of it as art. Design and furniture and art is something very similar. We don't think of it that way, but they have to do, good design has to do more than keep you off the floor in a comfortable position. And it has to be more than something to put objects in. And it should do this year after year after year. And that emotional need is the heart of what we were doing, although we did not know it at the time. Southern California was open and receptive to new ideas. And even people who were not artsy-craftsy would still tune into this. And it would filter down into the average marketplace.